Alright guys, we're back with our next YZ125 video. We're going to continue fixing these forks. If you remember right, these they had the cracked, well really destroyed free pistons. We've got a new set of free pistons in from Race Tech that are not plastic, they're metal. And we're basically going to take the valving and everything off this and put the metal free pistons on. I'll take into account that this guy, it's a YZ125, 2014. Should be sprung for around 160 pounds stock. This guy is about 130 pounds and was complaining that this bike felt soft and mushy. And this is exactly why right here. This will do it every time. So first thing, like I said, before you even start working on this fork, you should have made sure that your compression adjustment was all the way out. And if you haven't, do it now. And we got to start by taking this valving off. Okay, I think you can see it pretty well there. Okay, we got our zip ties, we got our 10 mil wrench. Gonna back this nut off. Best thing you can do, put the nut to the side. I'm gonna try to slide this valving off if it'll come over the peening. Sometimes you have to twist a little bit. There's your piston. My best advice, do one of these at a time if you have to do this. Keep you from getting anything mixed up. Always set it back exactly how it goes and put a zip tie through it, because even if you've done this 100 times on other bikes, it's super easy to forget because so many of them are different. As long as you keep the stack how it goes, you'll be okay. Just whatever you do, do not drop or get the shims out of the stack, because if you do that, If you're a suspension specialist, it's not a big deal. But if you're not, it's really hard to find these Yamaha stacks. You'll probably be buying a kit from Race Tech and doing it, more than likely. So if you can see that, I've got my stack, I've got my piston, spring, seat, and nut all together. That's how it goes. I'm just going to go ahead and close up this zip tie. Now I should be safe. Next is the compression, the compression valve body. I think it's a 15 or 17 mil. Yeah, backs right off there. Be careful with this, especially when you put it back on. It's aluminum. The thread that it goes on is aluminum. They break super easy. They're tough to find if you break one. Okay, now that's the top piece of our broken free piston. This plastic piece goes back on here. The shim that comes with the Race Tech free pistons goes on top of this plastic piece. And then the free piston itself. A little bit of grease on there. Looks a lot better, doesn't it? Now, like I said, doesn't have to be super torqued. I'm sure there's a torque spec for it. I don't use it. Now we're actually ready to put our valving and stuff back on. Now this is the point where if you were valving it too, you'd be building your custom shim stack and putting your other piston on and all this stuff. We just had to replace this free piston, so all we're doing is putting this on exactly how it came off. Okay, sorry I forgot to hit record a second ago, but I've actually got my lower shims and stuff on. Next comes the piston. A lot of people will mess this up. There's actually a little collar that sits on top of the piston. That little check valve plate goes on top of it. Your spring goes around the collar. Then you have the kind of like the spring seat. And you'll see what I mean in a second. I'm going to put this nut on here just to show you how this should work. And then I'm going to take the nut back off and put Loctite on it. Now, you'll see there's a little space under there where this check valve can move a little bit. It has to be able to move a little bit. That's the whole point of the spring. If you've got it in some kind of bind and it doesn't have any play, then something's wrong. You've got your collar in wrong. Take it back off and check it. So I'm gonna zip this back off, throw some Loctite on it. It's not gonna tighten it down as much as you probably want to, because like I said, it's aluminum and it will break. I've broke them. Everybody I know has broke them. And they're a pain to find when you break. Just an absolute dab of red Loctite. Another common mistake with these is people use way too much Loctite and it gets all over the valve and the needle, and then stuff doesn't want to work right. Your adjustments aren't going to want to work right. Don't do that. Also, you don't want the Loctite to run down into the compression valve. So spray out anything. Spray out any excess Loctite that might have came out around the nut and went down into that hole. You do not want that. And that's it for the Race Tech free piston install.